Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff as ever alongside me, and delighted to say Tam Cowan joins us on this Thursday. It is our 10 years, Ruffy, and it's great when we eventually manage to just put the wee call out to your man and get him involved, and it's been a joy having him on, even although sometimes he's given you and I pelters over the years.
Is that 10 years you've been together?
10 years,
wow.
Which is incredible. Yeah.
But no, we all.
And I still phone you, don't I? And I still hang about with you.
Yeah,
we still speak.
Good. Yeah, we still good.
Not everybody speaks has been in partnerships.
Oh, you're absolutely right. But leave you and your wife out here.
So, no, it's great.
It is. You know that he obviously adds something different to our show, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We had, who did we have on Monday night? For Livingston.
Nicky Devlin.
Nicky Devlin. No, it was Thursday.
It was last Thursday when I was away. I was up in Glasgow.
We said at the start of the show.
What a laugh he was, by the way.
We started.
Gags are plenty, good stuff, good chat. Oh, opinionated.
He might be watching.
But he's my mate.
Before we actually started, we said this is Tam's Day, you know, so the format of the Thursday show is you make us two laugh for 15 minutes. And the terror on his face.
15, I think you'll find it's an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Too right. Listen, there's not too many laughs when we actually think about what we're going to talk about at the start here, and I make a lot of apologies to people who always who want to try and talk constantly about the football, but sometimes politics and sometimes events take a grip on us, so it has an impact on sport. I'm going to talk about obviously Ukraine. Hi to so many here: David Bradley, Stuart Ramsey, John, who is saying, oh great, the Motherwell Tourism Board is on again. It's fine, he's happy with that.
Kenny, guess who got the golden key to the nuclear bunker at the Civic Centre? It was all worthwhile.
Yeah,
back up there in about an hour.
Absolutely. Kenny Whitson, Paul Brady, Paul Baird, there's lots of people joining us, Stephen Smith as well, and I'd read out quite a few of the names if they were actually the real names. There's that many handles on it that are a wee bit dodgy, Ruffy, but they're welcome as long as they keep things sensible. Then we're more than happy to read out your messages as well. But listen, to a couple of things I thought I'd mention before we start to talk about the overall football games tonight. Today, and I think it's one of those days where my heart goes out to the family because it'll be particularly tough. It would have been Walter Smith's birthday today.
Aye, 74. I think it'd have been the day I saw that. Yeah, that's when it hits home. I mean, every day we've all experienced stuff like that when maybe you lose somebody nearest and dearest, and you get the funeral and stuff out the way. You start getting yourself together a wee bit, and then something comes up, be it an anniversary, Christmas, when you're used to having that person, and then birthdays is always a sore one. But again, as I keep saying, I'm sure though that Walter's wife and family, on the day of his birthday, they'll be able to look back at the reaction there was, not just in this country, but almost like globally, when he passed away, and they'll take great comfort from that today, Yeah,
well, I'm glad you said that, Tam, because I am friendly with one of Walter's boys. We played football together, five-a-sides on more than a few occasions, Neil, and I was speaking to him at the Celtic Rangers game a few weeks ago, Ruffy, and I think he was heartened by the outpouring of support and great memories and lots of touching tributes to his dad. So I think the family will be well aware of the love that everybody had for Walter.
Oh, I think everything that came across, particularly the documentary as well. And obviously when everything happened, the football is a strange thing. You can, if you're part of a football club and people don't like your football club, sometimes that means they don't like you as well. But when something like this happens, the football family seems to get together, and everybody pulls in the right direction. I think it was the same with Tommy Burns. You saw Ali and Walter there, and that sort of had spurred it all on. But no, I think everything that's come through, and if you'd met Walter at all, he was just a charming guy, great to be in his company.
That's a wee plan for the night. They should sit and watch Walter's team against Dortmund, hope they get one, and then they'll have that documentary, and it was absolutely brilliant.
It was good, actually.
They'll have that in the old series. They'll keep the wee on for keep sitting down and watch that. Nice cup of tea and a digestive.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, that's 5 minutes in and he's plugged something on the iPlayer already for the BBC. That's magnificent.
The BBC,
well done. Also, it's Dennis Law's birthday. That's the way he used to celebrate.
Right.
Yeah, it's Dennis Law's birthday. He used to celebrate with his cuff when he scored the goal. He was a great player, wasn't he?
That's another one. You know, I keep saying Kenny Dalglish. If you see a striker, the joy of hitting the back of the net and winning a game, Kenny's smile, and Dennis Law was the exact same. They just love scoring goals.
Well, as I fit my show, so let's go for a hat trick. So I was running there to see her just 10 minutes ago. It's my wee sister's birthday of the day as well.
Yeah.
I was just taking her in a wee card and a wee present, so there you go.
That's good, right? What's her name?
Mandy.
Mandy, brilliant.
She used to live next to your sister.
I know her well.
Yeah.
So there you are. See, it's a small world, by the way. We're all connected, you know. It's as simple as that. So well done. Happy birthday to Mandy. Champions League could be on the move. St. Petersburg was supposed to be the destination on the 28th of May for the 2022 Champions League final. But I think UEFA, when they hold their emergency meeting, will just say, listen, you know, you've invaded Ukraine, the whole world is up in arms about it all, and it's not going to happen.
Or you still hold it there and it saves on the pyrotechnics bill. When the winners get the trophy.
He's going to get battered, doesn't he? He really is.
I'm just trying, you got to laugh. Honestly, you have got to laugh.
Yeah.
Since I was a boy growing up, Peter, you'll remember that. You'd have been near about the second year, third year at school. You thought there was going to be something terrible happening in the world every week, you know. Yeah. And we're back to those days. You just need to keep happy, keep smiling.
I wouldn't like to laugh at the Russians, to be honest with you. They're probably listening right now to us.
And another thing as well, thank God Donald Trump's known about, because he'd be loving. He'd be just sitting in that office.
Listen, let's not get political, because there are people on here who absolutely cane us, for the whole COVID routine.
People on here that but who does Putin really support?
Yes.
Let's be brutally honest.
Absolutely, you're right. Anyway, apart from anything, one of the things that I think is possibly, we always try and mention on here is your sympathy, your empathy, your thoughts are with the Ukrainian people, because that's probably the most difficult thing that has happened over the last 24 hours, because there is a nation that is living in fear, and of course a lot of things like football are immaterial to them. The Ukrainian league has been suspended, Ruffy, so that's not going to happen. The other thing about it is, of course, Scotland were due to play Ukraine. We don't know what's going to happen there. Interestingly enough, Zenit St. Petersburg are away to Real Betis tonight. That game will go ahead, and I'm reading between the lines. I'm trying to read as many different papers as possible to get a real insight into what the next step is. But I think if Zenit St. Petersburg were to win that, they would be expelled anyway in the next couple of days, because the sanctions are coming thick and fast.
Yeah, I think and UEFA are not very slow in coming to terms with these kind of things, so I think they'll have to analyse everything. But as you've touched on our game, Ukraine, it's incredible. We get a European finals and we've no supporters watching it, and now we're drawn against, unfortunately, a team who's going through tragic times just now. So
you're right. The football doesn't matter. Quite right, Peter.
No, absolutely not. It doesn't matter. I think our sympathies are with the people of Ukraine at this time, and if anybody's going to criticise me over that, I will take it on the chin gleefully. Let's hope we don't go to the absolute doomsday scenario. So that's what's happening as far as UEFA and the decisions they're about to make. The competitions go on though, and one of them is a big match tonight at Ibrox, where it's going to be a full house. I noticed Jude Bellingham coming out yesterday onto the Ibrox pitch and going, what a gaff, and that's good coming from him, because they play at the Westfalen, which is a good stadium.
When he said what a gaff, I thought he was talking about the signing of Aaron Ramsey. Depends how you spell it.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. I mean, did everybody know the guy? It's typical. I know it wouldn't be any other way you would have it in Scottish football, but I think everybody understood that he wasn't 100% fit. He wasn't certainly match fit when Rangers signed him, and there's all the pointing the finger, and everybody laughing and joking. But, call me old-fashioned, but as we've seen down through the years with some of the geniuses that primarily Celtic and Rangers have brought to Scottish football, Gazas and Decanios, etc., Laudrup, all the rest of them. It'd be great just to see that guy fit and out. I'd love to see him playing at Fir Park against Motherwell, You want to see great players strutting their stuff, but I don't know what's going on. I mean, how close to playing is he? Well,
to be honest with you, he's picked up an injury. He's only had 98 minutes in its entirety for Rangers. I'm loath to I'm loath to criticise the boy because you want to see him playing, but obviously Alison had written an article saying, on PLZ Soccer's site that basically this was, a late signing. It's a gamble because he hasn't played too much football. I think she got it in the neck from his agent.
Was that right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, nobody actually looks and thinks to themselves, you don't want Aaron Ramsey to play. You do want him to play.
Absolutely.
You can only observe what the evidence is in front of you. And Rangers fans want to see him, but if he's not on the park, they've paid some money to get him.
Exactly. And if it is, I know the figures that were bandied about a $2 million loan fee and meant to be paying them 40 grand a week. You're right, then they're not exactly getting their money's worth as things standing now. And the Rangers fans will be well within their rights to ask a few questions, but they'll just want to see the guy fit and on the park and playing. Yeah, absolutely. And to the actual situation with Rangers against Borussia Dortmund, it'd be great if Rangers could, a draw, just avoid that giving them 2 goals. It was a great performance away from home. Not buying into any of this Borussia Dortmund, weren't at their best nonsense. Rangers really did a job on them.
Rangers did a job on them and they were poor. I think they're now trying to dig themselves out of a hole saying, we're not like that every week. But we'll soon find out if they're not like that every week, because if Rangers turn up the performance that they did last week, they'll get beat again. Aye. Because they were poor defensively, but they certainly have got players in there. Quality players in there. If they get a goal early, they would think they could do. But Rangers have also got goals in them as well. Rangers are at home, 50,000 supporters cheering them on. I expect Rangers to not have a problem.
You need to keep it tight early doors, I would imagine. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund are no mugs. Was it 6-0? They beat Mönchengladbach just the other day there. And with the shockwaves that seem to go right through the club, then you obviously saw that as a bit of a turn up for the books, the 4-2. So they'll come here thinking they can still recover the tie, but need to keep it tight at the back, Rangers, and then hopefully get through to the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we always say to you on the feed here, if you can try and keep it decent when you're posting messages. It's always good because we do have people monitor it and they try and get rid of the people who really don't have a decent bone in their body. We try and keep it to people who love their football. So try and bear that in mind if you can, and we will read out some of your messages. I think it's good that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has said they're not going to park the bus, Ruffy. That's what you want to hear from the manager, because you're inviting all sorts of nonsense.
No, I don't think you want to do that. You want to get out and play to your strength, and Rangers' strength is attacking. Midfield up front, get the ball up front as quick as possible, give your striker a chance to score goals. So no, I don't think Rangers have got that in them anyway. And defend like that.
The intriguing thing about the tie, of course, and in case even anybody tuned in has forgotten this, there are no such thing as away goals now. So, sorry, it's no COVID.
Okay?
I had a test yesterday again. It's, you can't just have a cold in this day and age now with everybody. Can you taste it? Can you smell it? I'm absolutely by a cold.
Yeah, you just blow your nose on it. All right, Ruffy.
It doesn't matter.
Can you speak fluently for another couple of minutes until he gets his act together? Listen, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has been talking about Borussia Dortmund. I think he's well aware of what they're about to try and do tonight.
We gave ourselves a good position. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses, and with the backing of our fans tomorrow in I think another beautiful European night at Ibrox, we have to make sure we do everything to go to the next round and make sure the performance of last week we can continue as well tomorrow.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they can do the business. Of course, there's no Erling Haaland, Ruffy, which is a bonus in some ways because you want Rangers to go through, but you still like to see the top players coming to Scotland.
Yeah, you certainly do. I think if you ask any of the old firm, when they get drawn against the likes of Barcelona and Juve and Milan, that's the intriguing thing about going along there. Yeah, you don't want to get done by them, but certainly you do want to see them, and you want to be there on that night to say, I saw Messi or I saw Ronaldo or whoever, So I think it's a good thing that he's not there, because he is a quality player and he could cause you problems. So I think that'll be a bonus for Rangers.
Yeah, and of course, Marco Rose, the Borussia Dortmund coach, has mentioned the fact that even without Haaland, he's been missing for quite a bit of the season, and they've still scored a lot of goals. I think he was keen to emphasise, listen, this isn't a one-man team.
Well, absolutely. We mentioned the Mönchengladbach game, they scored 6. So talking goals, by the way. Talking goals. I must have moved up a good bit in the predictor. How many goals were scored last night at Dens Park, Dundee against St Mirren?
None.
Exactly. I'd done for a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
I think I was the only one of us that went for a 0-0 draw. How many points to get for that?
Nothing. The game was abandoned.
Well, it wasn't even abandoned. It was just postponed, cancelled, whatever. Right? Does that not count?
No, you want points for games being postponed.
That's awful. I think that's pretty poor.
Yeah, absolutely. But if that was the case, Ruffy, you'd have been right in the mix over the few years that we've done it. Yeah. But I think everybody's having problems with their pitch at the moment. No surprise, Ruffy.
It's the time of year, when every time we get to this year, somebody goes, summer football.
Yeah.
And it's the way ahead. It's just how you interpret it with all these European Cup ties and World Cups and everything.
Let's not shout for summer football anymore. It's gone. It just wouldn't fit into the calendar. Marco Rose says, situation is clear. We need 2 goals. So we know how to keep the balance between attacking and defending, but we need those 2 goals. And I think, I don't know about you, but this is the one time where I'm really looking forward to a game where it could be one of your old school's football games, Ruffy. Attack, couldn't it?
Yeah, I hope Rangers score first. I think then we'll really see a game, because they'll have to throw absolute caution to the wind, and then I think Rangers will pick them off as they did last weekend, midweek. Sorry. So I think it will be a good game. It won't be negative in any way, because there's too much quality on the park.
You know what? I know the Rangers fans shouldn't have any negative thoughts. Unless I'm very much mistaken, they would have probably predicted, and they would maybe have taken a narrow defeat in the first leg in Germany. As it turns out, it was a brilliant performance, a bonkers result, and they're 4-2 up with a home leg to play. They should have nothing to fear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 20 years ago that Alan McGregor made his debut, Ruffy. Did you know that? Here's a wee look at the team that he made his debut in, which is quite interesting when you see that team. Rickson, Amoruso, Vidmar and Arthur Newman, who's was such a great lad. Neil McCann, Barry Ferguson, whatever happened to him? Hughes, Kanchelskis, Arveladze and Dodds. That's some team. And you look in the middle there, I think it was Stephen Hughes. You remember him, Tam? He used to played for Motherwell as well. Came from
your house boy.
Came from our area. I mean, you look at that midfield area. Barry was strutting his stuff and probably one of the best players in the country at that time.
How even afforded a team like that?
It's incredible, isn't it?
I would say even the back four. The back four is as strong as you get.
Arthur Newman was absolutely brilliant. He was great. Great player. Shota Arveladze had a great career as well. I think I read last week, Ruffy, that he was in the running for the Hull City job.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
You know, he put his name forward, and I think there was a connection at Hull City with him. But I don't know how that panned out.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just say as well, and it's not a plug for that, but just a nice wee moment worth mentioning. Just when you see the name of the late great Fernando Rickson there, you know, we're going to be having the first St Andrew's Hospice sporting dinner since he sadly passed away at the hospice. And I know the last one that we had, Graham Souness, when he came up to be our star guest at the dinner, he had, you know, gone to see Fernando during the day, and that's why that Souness is sometimes misinterpreted as the big hard man as he was on the park and all that, and studs up and all the rest of it. When he started speaking about Fernando Rickson, just floods of tears, you know. And then what with COVID and all the rest of it, we've had another do at the hospice which looked after Fernando so brilliantly in his last months, and so I'm sure we'll raise a wee glass to him on March the 12th. Yeah, absolutely. We actually looked there off and we thought he was going to tell us about another programme on the iPlayer, but I'm glad you told us about St Andrew's Hospice, because it's a great place, and you do a lot of work for them as well. And I know you're a St Margaret's man, aren't you? You're the St Margaret's Hospice. I'm Clydebank, and they all do the same thing. In fact, Sister Rita is actually on the board at St Andrew's. So they all do a great job, Ruffy. Anyway, apart from that, Rangers to get a draw for me.
Draw for me. I think Rangers would settle for a 1 each.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. I would like for the neutral spectator who still wants the Scottish team to go through.
Yeah.
I would like Dortmund to open the scoring and then
Game
that's
on.
that. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then when you're sitting there with the popcorn out like that Michael Jackson meme, you know the one I'm talking about.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Then it's a great game. But, surely to goodness, you can't win 4-2 away and then get put out. That's just bonkers. So I think we'll get through.
I'm going to go 2-2.
Right, okay. I'm going to go 1-0 Dortmund on the night. Real squeaky bum stuff for the last half hour, but Rangers to get through.
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah, I've won 1 each. Yeah.
Right, okay. Thank you very much to every one of you for your messages. We're reading out as many of them as we possibly can. If you, at this point, can look at Rangers against Borussia Dortmund, see how it fits into the other matches tonight. I'm sure all your efforts will be looking at Rangers and how they're getting on. So here's the fixtures for the Europa League. We're going to talk about Celtic shortly, but there it is. Dynamo Zagreb, Seville. It's Lazio against Porto, Olympiacos against Atalanta, Real Sociedad against Leipzig, Napoli against Barcelona, which again I always mention. Incredible to see Barcelona in this second tournament. Rangers against Borussia Dortmund. Real Betis against Zenit. We just want to make sure you're okay. Real Betis against Zenit St. Petersburg, and Sparta Prague, Sporting Braga, against Sheriff. So there you are.
So what's the team we don't want to go any further because of the coefficient?
It was Zenit St. Petersburg.
And is there no another one, Sparta Prague or something like that? They not got a lot of points.
That's in the Czech Republic.
You know, there's a
Sporting
team.
Braga's in Portugal.
No, there's a team. There's a team you said we have to keep an eye on, because if they keep winning games and go anywhere forward,
Red Star Belgrade.
Yeah, that's the team we want to get.
Yeah, we would like them, we'd like anyone from that country to not really do well in the coefficient. Helps us, simple as that. They're closing in, and the more teams they have in the country, then we're under pressure. Conference League. Here's the fixtures for you to have a wee look at to see how Celtic fit into this, because Bodo Glimt against Celtic is a 5:45 kickoff. Karabag against Marseille. You've got Maccabi Tel Aviv, PSV. Partizan Belgrade against Sparta Prague, and also Randers against Leicester. And you also have in this one PAOK Salonika, always difficult to say that one, FC Michelin, Slavia Prague against Fenerbahce, and Vitesse against Rapid Vienna. Now, the team has just come out for Celtic, so we might as well give you the Celtic side, which is Hart, Ralston, Welsh, Starfelt and Scales, Beaton, O'Reilly, Rogic, Forrest, Maeda and Giacomakis. So interestingly enough, there's no it's Welsh and Starfelt. There's no McGregor in there, Ruffy. That's an interesting one as well. And
Tati, no.
Nope, and he's got Forrest in there, and the subs I might as well tell you right now. Bain, Oluwayemi, Julian, Taylor, Abada, McCarthy, Jota, Carter, Vickers, Hatate, McGregor and Juranovic. So they're on the bench. That's an interesting one, isn't it?
Juranovic is a strange one right away.
Yeah.
There's a few there.
I think he's been happy with Ralston coming back into the side, and then he usually flips them over. But that's an interesting team. Tam, and Scales has got the nod. Do you think they've actually looked at that and said what we were talking about the other day? Do you think they maybe looked at it and thought, well, listen, the league's more important. If we go out, we go out.
Well, it might be. I mean, the bottom line is everybody was making the jokes only, a couple of weeks ago, including Ali McCoist, about the Celtic next go into the Eurovision Song Contest, do they go into the 10 and 6s, blah, blah, blah. Europa Conference, but the best of all, you hear the Conference League, any football fan precedes it with Vauxhall, and you think it'd be in the lower reaches of the English leagues,
Yeah.
So, it's not a huge tournament, but you saw how the fans came out to support Celtic in the first leg, so it's still European football. You're still hoping to get packed to a season, and I can assure you that if Celtic get through to the final of that, they wouldn't care what it was called, they wouldn't care what level it was at in Europe, what tier it was or anything,
Yeah.
It would be seen as a biggie.
And the evidence of that team, it's not the strongest team. It's not his strongest team he's putting out. So you would think if you try to overturn the deficit you're in, you'd put out your best team. And he hasn't done that, and so he's the only one that can answer how he's flung that team together.
I think I'm looking at that side and I'm saying I think he's just said to himself, okay, here's a wee chance to prove yourself, but go out there, play the same way that we like to play. But this is basically him saying, you know, if it doesn't work out, you know, the league's the one he wants.
Yeah, it's a shame because Tam's pointed the attitude that you should be trying to win every tournament, you know, because the further you go in competitions, the more confident the players get. But in looking at that team selection, it's not, for me, it's not the strongest 11.
No,
it's not the team you would put out if you wanted to overturn the deficit.
And what about the fans, Peter, the diehards who have spent a small fortune to go out there to Norway and to, as we speak now, will maybe be you know, onto their last overly priced beer and all the rest of it, you know.
These are about
freezing their knackers off to go out there.
12 to 15 quid a beer.
You maybe get a second string team, you know.
Yeah.
Can't be two-faced about it. We all know how we feel. We've had sympathy, and we mentioned it on this show recently about, you know, big English teams who, you know, don't have silverware going in their cabinet every season, putting out a second string in the FA Cup, for goodness sake, when they've got no chance of winning the league.
Yeah.
And they maybe think, oh, it's all about Champions League places, you know. But they never ever seem to hit you, the fans, who pay fortunes to follow them.
No.
And you're effectively watching reserves. It's garbage.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this one. I must admit, Ange Postecoglou also mentioned the fact that, you know, I don't think he thinks his team are going to be suffering from any fitness problems or Bodo Glimt either.
Yeah, in terms of fitness, I don't think we struggled the other night. I don't think they struggled because it's a one-off game. You know, from our perspective, it's more about making sure that the players we have out there feeling fresh. We're obviously in the middle of a really hectic schedule, a lot of games. We've tried to rotate the team as much as possible without affecting performance.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Celtic perform in this one. I noticed Callum McGregor, when he was asked yesterday about, you know, the weakness potentially being Celtic at set plays, and he got a little bit prickly about the whole thing. But when you look at some of the stats, and you can only look at the stats and determine it and see when you're watching these games where the goals are conceded. 9 of the 17 Premiership goals they've conceded have come from those set pieces. So you're actually looking to say to yourself, well, that's where most of the problems lie.
Yeah, they're kidding themselves if they're not admitting to it, because it's there in black and white. Every Monday morning there's a TV analysis of the games that happen at the weekend, so it's going to be apparent. There's another goal we've lost for a set piece. So no, I think they'll be working on it and trying to tidy it up. But I mean, again, they've changed the 2 centre halves, which doesn't help the continuity of defence.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going Bodo Glimt to win it, just edge it.
Yeah, I think probably 2-1, something like that.
Yeah. Did you pick that yesterday, though? You changed your mind?
No, I don't think I did. No.
Tam?
With the team that you've just read out, you know, I was fairly confident Celtic could get out and get a result as well, and enough of a result to take them through. But I can't see it now. I've got a feeling that's going to be a 0-0 draw. It's going to peter out. The Norwegians will be quite happy with their lead. And looking at the lineup, I can't see where the goals are going to come for Celtic, certainly for midfield.
Absolutely. From the Conference League and the Europa League, we'll go through some other points. We'll hear from Jim Goodwin as well as talk about some of the Champions League results from last night. Gaz has said, Peter, what's going to happen with the Scotland-Ukraine game? Well, I mean, I don't know where you go with this one as far as Scotland and the Ukraine. If the Ukrainian, and I think it was something like maybe 13 or 15 of the 23-man squad were home-based players from the Ukraine. So if they weren't able to play it, which would be, I think, really, really sad, would Scotland be getting a bye in this situation going into the final? That's the other thing.
Seems a bit harsh, you know. I think what I would say is we shouldn't have been in any rush here.
Yeah.
We're all hoping, obviously, the situation in Eastern Europe will be resolved. But, you know, the World Cup isn't due to start until mid-November, you know, so the playoffs that are coming up, there's no any great need to get them played just now, but it does seem a bit shallow even talking about the football when you know what's going on now, you know.
Yeah, I know, but these things are you know, unless this escalates out of all proportion, Ruffy, right now it's isolated to one nation, and the future of, well, two nations, one that potentially will have sanctions galore and could face themselves being ostracised out in the wilderness of football and many other sports, and one that unfortunately is, suffering an invasion, and a lot of sports people were more worried about their families and their friends and people in the country.
Yeah, I think like all these things, I think the next 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days are the crucial bits, when the powers that be, have to do something about this, because although it's so far away, at the end of the day we're all affected in some way, but more so the people who live there. So they're the people we should be thinking about.
Okay, elsewhere in the domestic scene, Jim Goodwin was chatting today. It's quite a momentous week for Aberdonians and fans of the Dons, because Sir Alex Ferguson is coming back for the match against Dundee United. The previous day, that's tomorrow, they'll be unveiling a statue of Fergie outside Pittodrie, which I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And Jim Goodwin, talking about the game, has just mentioned that the role that he has in mind now exclusively for Scott Brown is as a player.
Once the St Mirren thing got finalised with Stephen Robinson, myself and Scott spoke again, and he assured me that his mind is now fully focused on being a player and being a really important player between now and the end of the season. And then we'll assess the situation again in the summer. But I think that honesty and that transparency is vital.
Yeah, I'm interested to see exactly what happens with Scott Brown. Now they want him to be solely a player. So he'd probably play out this season. Then I wonder if he'll maybe get through that second season of his contract.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what Scott's thoughts are on his future. We heard sort of softly he was interested in the St Mirren one. I would like to think he'd have to start somewhere, to get, obviously he probably has got his coaching badges, but get the experience of being at a club and being a manager. So determine, he's the man that calls the shots. I'm sure every player loves to play as much as possible, but it's at what level you play at, and if he's going to be playing regular in that Aberdeen side. Yeah,
absolutely. The good thing is, Jim Goodwin mentioned that he hopes to have a wee word with Fergie and get some advice off him. Well, I mean, we all know what Fergie's going to say to him. Look, create a siege mentality, actually hammer Celtic and Rangers non-stop, then get 3 scouts to go down and keep stealing the best people from Glasgow and the surrounding area, and you'll win the league.
Absolutely. Maybe not as easy as that, but no, I think that's a really... I think by and large the Aberdeen fans have embraced Jim Goodwin. He got a great reception at Fir Park in his first game, and I loved even hearing him pre-match when he said all this nonsense about, we watched the first game for the stand and he says, no, you're going to get straight in there. What manager wouldn't want to get right in there for day one and be part of it, And they've got this guy, Jim Goodwin. I mean, sometimes you're fooled a wee bit with the grey hair and the grey beard and all that, but he's only 40, and I'm not trying to bill him up there as the next Alex Ferguson, but what a great age for him maybe going to a club like Aberdeen when he's already proven himself at St Mirren, as indeed did Fergie, of course. But I think it's an exciting move. The bottom line is, and Dave Cormack knows that the last appointment was simply disastrous, and Stephen Glass looked like a spent force long before they actually dismissed him. You saw it, the body language was there at every post-match interview. The reaction again for the Aberdeen fans at what turned out to be swan song at Fir Park, they made their feelings crystal clear. Yeah. And these are fans who, as we all know, when they've hardly had a sniff of the silver polish for a long time, they fans still travel in big numbers to go and watch their team, so they deserve to be heard, and they were. And they've got a new guy in, so good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck to you, Jim. We like him a lot, and we think he'll do well up at Aberdeen. You can give us your thoughts on that. St Mirren against Hearts at the weekend will be Stephen Robinson's effectively first game in charge. I think the new St Mirren manager wanted the game against Dundee to go ahead because the Saints were on such a good run.
With the momentum the club have got at the moment, I think it would have been good to play the game. Do you know what I mean? And then you always rather have points if we had got them there rather than games in hand. But listen, we deal with it and you get on with it, as you say. it potentially would have given me a little bit more time with the players, but with the snow that came, we didn't get too much tactical stuff done today. It was an indoor 5-a-side, so just to get their legs moving. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to get a little bit more done with them.
Yeah, are you doing a double take this season with that?
It's weird, John. But you know what? He was great at Motherwell. He'd maybe taken Motherwell as far as he could simply because of that season. When we got into both cup finals, you know, at last we played a very good Celtic team in both games, you know, so it was a tall order to win one of them. But no, it'll be great at the club night. The great thing I think for the St Mirren fans are tuned in here. He was a good man around the club at Motherwell as well, and see any of the events around that. I mean, the last time I was in his company, for example, it was a Q&A night. It was in the function suite above the New Century bar in Motherwell, just at the top end of the town, and Stevie was always the first to volunteer for anything like that, you know. And it's great because you know what it's like. I'm not pointing fingers at any clubs, but fans have turned up for events in the past, and it's like a couple of boys for the reserves and a guy that's had 2 games with under 16s, you know.
Yeah.
And it's great when you do get your manager there, you do get first team players. So I'm sure Stevie again will get involved in all that side of stuff with St Mirren, and you know what, if you can bottle his enthusiasm, you'd be a multi-millionaire in no time. Yeah.
I can't remember, I think it was pre-COVID the last time I was in that bar, the New Century.
Yes.
It's been such a long time. Good bar. Do you know what I like about it, Tam? Not the fact that Stephen Robinson's there occasionally. They always have good bands that play great,
they do.
Great old covers.
Saturday night, primarily.
Fantastic. Mobbed, and they play a wee bit of the Eagles, a wee bit of Steely Dan.
And then you've just got an Estes at the Rex next door for a wee single fish in the road, Tom.
That's
Beautiful.
exactly it, Ruffy. You see, you're getting an insight into Lanarkshire life, by the way. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
although one of the bands who was the best bands I'd heard in there, they were called ISIS, and they had to change their name for obvious reasons.
All right, yeah.
For obvious reasons. So, but it's still good. Good night out. You don't have too many nights out in Motherwell, do you, Ruffy?
Not my area.
You'd get leathered in our area, by the way.
Pals coming to Glasgow.
Who?
For the Eagles.
Who?
The lead singer.
Don Henley.
Yeah, he's coming to Glasgow.
Solo?
Yeah.
Yeah, might get.
That'd be you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So's Andrea Bocelli. Wonderful. What a voice that man's got. He's coming to the Hydro in September.
Oh, that's fantastic. Remind me not to hang about with Tam on that night. Great voice that he has, but not a night out. Are you buying your tickets for it?
Things like yes, absolutely.
Right, okay.
Concert Hall's got a good one.
What?
Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto number 2.
Shut up, you're taking the mickey out of this now. So the other thing I was going to say,
I'm going to ask you again in about 5 minutes.
By the way, can I just say something to you?
Is he back written down?
I don't know if he's Russian, but they've barred Rachmaninoff from coming over. The Polish, this is breaking news, the Polish, Swedish and Czech Republic FAs have made a joint statement expressing their firm position that they will refuse to play in Russia should they host the potential World Cup playoffs in March. So, as we said, Ruffy, minute by minute now, everybody is just pulling up the drawbridge. They're not going to entertain them at all.
And quite rightly so. You know, I mean, if it is going to be war-stricken, you know, you're not going to be sending people for your country there, you know, let alone the people who are there just now. And it's the unfortunate thing is it's the people who are there who are going to suffer. Yeah,
absolutely. Hibs have been talking about their pitch, Tam. They want to obviously try and get one of these new hybrid pitches that a number of clubs have got. I think Hearts have got it as well. Celtic have got this type of pitch too. And it's really to try and address the fact that I think Sean Maloney, Jack Ross certainly mentioned it, that they want to play a particular style of football, but it's a bumpy pitch and it's not great.
Well, you'd imagine with Sean Maloney, as we keep saying, coming effectively as number 2 at the best nation in world football, who know how to play the game properly. Then he'd want to give his own players every single chance. Does Easter Road, incidentally, or was it fixed years ago, does it still have the famous slope?
No,
not at all.
That was fixed.
Not at all, it was totally fixed.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
totally fixed.
The problem we've got is the stands. The covering of the stand covers the 2 sides of the park, and it doesn't get sunlight the same as the other ones, and that's why it struggles.
Yeah, so not sunshine on Leith.
That's good.
Whereas Motherwell does, we've got Paul and his team up at Motherwell who are superb. You know
absolutely. The groundsman's great.
He's probably one to watch because, as you know, the main stand, the Phil O'Donnell stand at Motherwell, back in the day never quite get finished.
Yes.
There's that wee bit that's missing, and that was to do with daylight laws and stuff like that, the folk that were in the houses.
Oh, right.
But it's probably held tomorrow now in good stead because you do get the extra access for a wee bit of what sunshine we got.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I know you're going to come in at some point with this. I've got a feeling you will.
About what?
Well, let me tell you first.
Okay,
You
not
always
the
say-
bubble my nose and you tell
Well, I was
everybody
going
else.
to say he always wants people to wait for the gag to come out. Now he jumps in before I've even read out what I'm going to read out. I'm going to say, rather biased towards my old mate Greg McEwen, who's there as the commercial director at Hibernian, and Greg has been working tirelessly in the background, keen to do something for the fans, to give something back to them, and they've been operating this great initiative to try and get Easter Road full for the match coming up against St Johnstone. The tickets are £5. It's almost sold out. We're now down to the single tickets, and I think he wanted to give something back to the Hibs fans who've shown their support in great numbers. So well done to Greg, and well done to all the Hibs backroom team who were involved in this initiative. That's the type of thing that you love to see. His club's got great PR for what they do, but this is brilliant from Greg and the boys.
This is brilliant, but they started it, didn't you, Motherwell?
They
Come up with the idea
tried
first,
everything, and it was one night we ended up, and it was a Friday night game that was going to be in the telly against Dundee United, I think. So they made it in the John Boyle year. It was a £5 at the end. We got about 11,000 there, which was terrific for a league game that was live on the telly. But Peter, what probably happened then, I'm sure, and it'll happen here with Greg, right? So you can play Greg, I'll play the Hibs season ticket holder. Aye, but I've already paid my money. Why are you letting everybody else in for a £5? What do I get?
Well, I think at the end of the day, in the current circumstances and what has happened before, surely you can take one for the team, which is Hibs.
I know, you always get dissenting voices. Whenever it's happened at Fir Park in the past, I can only say, and my pals were singing for the same hymn sheet, we as season ticket holders, first and foremost, would have liked to, for where we're sitting, look out and see a lot more fans in, irrespective of how much they were paying. But you're always going to get some dissenting voices when clubs do this, you know, and bear in mind, there's a lot of fans, you know, and all the clubs now you're able to pay up your season ticket and everything. Times are tough, so you know some noses are often out of joint when schemes like this are brought in for guys that have already paid their money up front. I'm just saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I get
That's
that.
what we're looking for clubs to do. You got to attract more people in. You've got to come up with ideas, you know, to get the extra people in. And then once you've got them in, you've got to get them something.
Well, one
to
of
look
your
at.
directors works really hard at that, at the basketball. What's his name? Duncan Smiley?
Duncan, yeah.
You know, you and your family were at the basketball.
Yeah.
They work hard at it because they're a minority sport in Britain. But you need incentives with football. You can't become complacent, Tam.
It was, you know, brilliant. I did go for the first time to the basketball last Sunday. Great atmosphere, proper family atmosphere, food kiosks everywhere, hot dogs for the kids and all that. Just the whole thing spoiled by the fact you had to watch basketball.
Yeah.
Awful.
You don't like it?
Awful sport.
Is that right? You don't like
There's
it?
not a good American sport. American. You know.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Have you seen American football?
have you seen
ice hockey? You can't keep up with that.
Have you seen
garbage?
Have you seen the Last Dance, the documentary?
No.
Michael Jordan.
No.
Watch it. It's really
Baseball?
good. Basketball. Really good, Tom. Really good. And there's a few good. There's a few good baseball movies, and I love it. I love American football. Hey, what are you talking about? You were involved in one of those games, 1991, and the 6 each game. You know, bang, bang, bang. Anyway,
2010.
Ronnie Chapman has just said, Peter, any thoughts on putting the football show on for 2 hours? He loves it. That's a very nice thing of Ronnie to say, and there's not a catch chance in hell, Ronnie.
No. Why doesn't he just watch the hour twice?
Well, I was going to say to you, remember we did it for 2 hours, Ruffy.
Yes, we did.
He's treading water. It was poor, wasn't it?
How long is the radio show?
It flies by. The best thing, and I think it's a bit less than an hour. Sometimes I'm looking at them, I'm saying, God, it's at the time already.
Yeah.
But you know, the best compliment in the 28 years we've been doing the radio is guests that say, "Oh, is that us? Was that 2 hours?"
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's a different kettle of fish on the radio though, because you know there's there's a different feel about it. I don't know.
Aye, but you know what?
Is it a 2 hour show, Tam?
Aye, we're always 2 hour shows, Saturday and a Sunday, an hour for this. But what I would say was, in my defence,
yes,
we all get criticism. I tend to get criticised, and you take all criticism if it's constructive.
Yes.
I tend to get criticised on the radio, and it's happened on here as well, for maybe talking like a budgie, right? But I always think that's always to do with the pace of the programme. You know yourself, Peter, all the years, particularly in radio, there's nothing worse than dead air, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can sometimes tune into shows and it's as if they've got nothing to say and there's big gaps. You think, oh, come on, it seems to last a lifetime.
Hey.
So that's the reason I like just battering in.
Do you want me to tell you what's called a shift? When the BBC buys the exclusive rights to the commentary, blows everybody out of the water, and we used to have to do 6 hour specials on Radio
And you're
Clyde.
sitting looking at the results coming in.
No, we just used to cheat. Honestly, we had so much fun.
It was ridiculous.
It was magic. We had about six or 7 tellies.
So talking
we
about
had a great
cheating,
laugh.
true or false?
Yes.
Was this just a kind of apocryphal
I've never been
tale?
caught.
No, right. Mind the old story that when Archie McPherson, dear old Archie, when he was doing some games for Eurosport,
Yes.
Back in, I think it was a Thursday night, long before as well the Europa League games.
this the Ullevi Stadium story?
He was meant to have been doing it for his house.
Yes.
And you could hear maybe his wife out with the Hoover and that now and again. Was that rubbish, or was that any truth in that?
Well, you couldn't rule that out because Archie would have had an ISDN line in the house.
Aye,
but
absolutely.
I'll tell you a great one about it, which is genuine. And Archie told me this was they were talking about this feed of a game that he had to commentate on. And he starts actually waxing lyrical about the stadium, and he goes how great it is in AC Milan and the history associated with it, and he goes, and then he realised that the game was over in Sweden, and he goes, however, this game is at the Ullevi Stadium. So he'd done a good 10 minutes of all about AC Milan. And
Rob McLean put his foot in it with a game out in Sweden. It still gives him cold shivers.
Yeah.
He was doing a game out there, I can't mind if it was Sweden, Scotland, or a Scottish club played a Swedish club. And Rob, at the start of it, there was a minute's silence or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And Rob just almost quite flippantly says, well, we'll get this out of the way. I have no idea what the minute's silence is for, but it was like the Swedish Prime Minister had been assassinated that week. And, you know, and Rob always thinks that if anybody, I mean, they all speak English in Sweden, you know, great with their English.
you think
If
Rob would have
anybody
prepared-
about him had heard them being so just dismissive of that, you know. He was thinking it was for, I don't know, some local celebrity Z-lister or something, but oof.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If it had been for an Aberdeen player, he'd have known all about it by
Well,
now.
a Swedish thing which I thought was great, I reminded myself there, my mate Tam Cowan, who used to run the Sportsman's Bar up in Perth, he was at school with Cosgrove at the 1990 World Cup, the night when we played Sweden.
Yeah.
I think did Stuart McCall get the winner, was it?
Yeah. 2-1.
So Tam that night in his pub for that game had a Swedish theme night, and what he did was he put a £5 on the price of every pint. Genuinely.
Yeah. Do you know who I was with on that night in the stadium watching that game?
Give me a clue, cryptic clue, and I'll get it.
Davy Moyes.
Yeah, they knew you can get away with
Eh?
it. When we used to do that Saturday show with Real Radio, the French Grand Prix was on, you know, the one where they get in the
track.
Monaco.
Monaco, they win all the wee winding
Carlo.
streets.
And
aye.
we came in and we were trying to fill it with racing and everything, all this thing. And the boy goes, we're doing something for the French Grand Prix. And we says, who are we doing it for the French Grand Prix? Well, just going to link in. There's a Scottish boy over there. So we linked in and went over to the French Grand Prix. And you could hear the cars. And he said, that really sounds great now. And he spoke about who was there and how it was going to go and everything. And we finished and that. And we went back to him. Thanks for that. He says, oh great. He says, I'm glad I got away with it. I says, what do you mean? He says, I'm nowhere near the track. He says, that was my Electric I had on.
Brilliant. Anyway,
It's good seeing Gabe, but used to be at PLZ getting all these nice trips and that.
Aye,
See them just being like outside, you know, Parkhead and Ibrox, you know,
yeah,
good on him.
absolutely. Yeah. That's great, Sam. Just rub it in. We want to be there with them. Anyway, Hibs pitch. Hugh Dallas has been speaking just before we finished. Hugh Dallas has mentioned that, you know, people are wanting full-time referees, but he thinks the greater necessity is let's get VAR in. The refs want it. It'll help.
Yeah, I think you have to realise as well that most of these referees have got very, very good jobs. You know, so for them to go to full-time, you'd have to give them a fair whack. And I think a lot of them have got such a short life as a referee. You know, and I think they have to stop when they're, 35 or something. There's an age where they have to stop refereeing, so you've got to take that into consideration as well. They've got their whole life in front of them. They're going to be refereeing forever. But no, VR's the way ahead.
Okay.
I think everybody agrees now, Peter. You know, it's getting silly now. And I don't think, I've said it in this programme many a time, said it in my own, but we've got to now stop over-analysing instants in games when you're sitting there with freeze frames and drawing lines down the screen and all that. You know, the match officials can't do that at the time. So forget all that guff and let's bring in the system.
Yep. Elsewhere, some other news. Stevie Naismith, I was reading, saying that he is hoping to become a manager, but he'll bide his time. I know he was interviewed for the St Mirren job. Obviously, it was good just to get a little feel of it. He's still the under-18 coach at Hearts. I think Stevie would be a great manager. We all thoroughly enjoyed having him on the programme. He was good crack, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think anybody that's been in a dressing room or on a park with him will know that he's 100% want to achieve something else in the game. He's done it as a player. And he just looks as if he's ready-made to make that step.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask Ruffy this question, Tam, because sometimes I know I've got you trying to watch quite a bit of English football as well. I watched it last night. I don't know if you watched Champions League. So it was Man United playing against Atletico. Man United are rank rotten, Ruffy. I cannot understand anybody who becomes the Man United manager should just go away and read a book on Sir Matt Busby and read the book on Sir Alex Ferguson's time at Manchester United. Sure. It's a fairly straightforward plan. It's the spine of the team is a good goalkeeper, 2 brilliant centre halves. Then you have wingers that create the chances, and then you have a little sprinkling of gold dust in the middle of a genius of a player with somebody who's as hard as nails. And then you just let a Ronaldo or a Rooney or you know, a Mark Hughes or a Brian McClair run riot up front. I mean, honestly, that team last night, Paul Pogba just beggars belief as a player. I cannot believe the amount of money he's on. And Harry Maguire and Paul Pogba, honestly, I'd struggle to pick them for more than 5-a-side team.
Yeah, they were poor. I don't know how they got away for that with the draw. You know, I mean, their goal, what a fantastic header for the boy for Atletico. It was absolutely amazing, you know, the pace that went in it. But I'd love to be in that Man United dressing room to see if they all talk to each other. I would find it really hard that they're a group of players who maybe go out for a wee drink together or a meal or whatever. I think they just go in on a Saturday, they play the game and they all go
their own
away.
Separate way.
There's no any continuity, there's no any bonding, there's nothing.
The money, I mean, you know, we're talking earlier about fans get sickened when you see your club putting out the second string in cup competitions. I think how the Man United fans must feel. Guys who, you know, football's still such a huge part of their life, probably something that takes up all their free money. You know what the price of tickets is like in English football, how much it costs to follow a team, some of the journeys that are involved for away games, and they're watching. I mean, Pogba, for example, what ballpark figure, what's he on a week?
He must be on 300,000.
Right, you know, it's awful, and they're getting nothing back for the guy.
Yeah,
you know.
I just thought it was. I watched the game in disbelief last night at some of the performances. As far as other performances, which are certainly catching the eye, I thought Liverpool were unbelievable. 6-0. They're 3 points behind City. Liverpool could win that league, Roffy.
Yeah, Man City thought it was done and dusted. You know, then just. Shows you what happens. You get a defeat, and then the people behind you say, "Hey, we've got a wee chance here." But that'll be interesting when that game comes up. Man City, Liverpool.
Aye, when do they play?
Well, I don't know when it is.
Yeah, I don't know when it is, but it's going to be blistering.
Will it be on the telly?
Off Stonewall Celtic. Yeah, there you are. One man who I think is at this moment contemplating his future, and interestingly enough, he was talking about, you know, does he want to pick up his salary even when he's watching how Tottenham are performing? And this is the Spurs manager, Antonio Conte. And the reason why he's contemplating his future is because I think he's really pushed the board out and said to the Tottenham board, listen, you can get countless managers in here, but if you have the same players, you're going to get the same result on this one. He's not happy. They lost 1-0 to Burnley last night.
Maybe I'm not so good. Yes, I'm not so good. And I think Tottenham called me to improve the situation, but I'm too honest. I'm too honest to close my eyes. You understand, and to continue to tell, okay, but I want to finish my season in this way, and okay, but my salary is He's good. No, but I'm not this type of person.
Yeah, listen, fair play to him, by the way. He doesn't want to just take the salary if he can't, make a real difference to Tottenham, and he can't because he's the same players who are failing.
I mean, Peter, even a guy like you who follows the English football, I would challenge you to right now rattle off the name of the last 10 Tottenham Hotspur managers. The guys just come and go. I know it's the same right through English football, but it's nice to hear a boy like that speaking like that. And Tottenham as well, are a huge club. They should be doing a lot better than they are.
Yeah.
But I would totally agree with his sentiment there. But I would still disagree. I don't know if we mentioned it in this show or if it was a wee Facebook trailer earlier that he is meant to be the sexiest manager in the English Premier League according to a survey of female fans.
Yeah.
And they put, even the Celtic fans I think would stick up for Steven Gerrard here. Steven Gerrard second.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Gerrard as maybe the best looking?
Well, I can't say I've spent much time thinking about it, but he's got a beautifully crafted hair and all the rest. He's done his bit of fashion modelling and all that.
Maybe women just like Italians.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got that something. April the 10th, Man City, Liverpool.
What day of the week?
At the Etihad. Oh, I've just given you the date for God's sake.
What day of the week? April the 10th. That'll be a Sunday, won't it?
Yeah.
That'll be a
Did he
super
actually
Sunday.
say that he doesn't want to get paid because of the way that they're playing? Is that
No,
what
he just says there's no point in me taking a salary if I can't make a difference on Sunday.
And then he just say, well, just pay me up my 4 year and I'll leave.
Well,
20 million and I'll add it to my Chelsea 20 million and the other place that he
Juventus. Can I just say something to you though? And Inter, even before he was a manager, he didn't need the money.
No.
He was a wonderful player. So I think fair play to him if he wants to see a
to
change.
be in that scenario as well again where, and we don't have anything close to it in Scottish football, but watching a player like Pogba, right? You're a Man United fan thinking, why if you had his money, would you really go that extra 10%? Would you really go the extra yard into a challenger in, Would you chase that lost ball? And then you think it would have
if you're on 300 grand.
Exactly.
Well, can I tell you something, Tam? And this is me in defence of every footballer, out there who will be screaming at the telly right now. See if you are a professional footballer, and I'm talking about a really, really high percentage of players who love the game and want to play it and want to do the best they possibly can for the fans and for the club and obviously for themselves. There is a really high percentage of people, no matter what money they're on, they will give their all.
I'm sure
there's a
there are.
small percentage of players that actually you just look and you think, really? I mean, is this what we're getting from you? And I think he fits into that category. Harry
But
Maguire
when you
is...
get here, Peter, I mean, Hughes, the old classic example, Dundee United, Jim McLean. When basically, bonuses were such a huge thing because the wages were really low. A brilliant bonus system by all accounts, and I've only really read about it in a variety of books. But lo and behold, that team that he cobbled together were champions of Scotland.
Yeah.
The same 14 or 15 players.
Would you be happy with a small bonus on your radio show, and if you're not really unbelievably funny, determined by someone else, then you make your own way home and you don't get the bonus?
Well, I think right here and now, PLZ, it should be performance related. This fucking studio would be mine by the end of next week.
There you go.
Sell it and turn it into flats. I'd like to think. I mean, and we're all the same. I mean, what it's like, Peter. It doesn't matter whatever you do. If you get into a radio studio, a telly studio, if you stand up at Blantyre Bowling Club in front of an audience, you always want to give your best.
Absolutely.
And I sometimes think that, you're maybe, I mean, I'd love just to last day. You're talking about the Man United team for last night, and I'm sure that the answer here is widely available online. If you just went through the players one by one and totted up how much money they were effectively getting for a week's work last night, right?
Yeah.
It would be absolutely eye-wateringly stupendous, and they get a performance like that out of them.
Yeah, there was a manager through there. How do you manage a team of millionaires?
Aye.
People
On the
walk about a
egos.
dressing
Well,
room.
I'll tell you how you manage a team of millionaires. You have a manager who was brought up in an area where he had good family values, he had a good foundation. He wanted
David Moyes again,
he
isn't it?
wanted people.
Here we
He
go.
wanted people to actually give their all because he realised what the fans were all about, and he's getting a statue unveiled tomorrow at Pittodrie. Because Sir Alex Ferguson managed him. There are some people who are critical of his ways, but he actually demanded everything of his players.
But again, as well, Peter, even with that though, it wasn't as if, you know, Willie Miller or Gordon Strachan back in that day were charging Aberdeen fortunes, you know?
Yeah.
These were all still guys who, I bet you that even Willie Miller had been a right good joiner in Aberdeen. Same week that Willie Miller lifted a European trophy, a right good joiner, few homers here and there who might still have had a bigger take-home pay that week than Willie Miller.
Yeah, well, it's for another programme. We could probably debate that to the
What was amazing, that's roughy, because I would never ask a current player this, whatever folk earn and all the rest of it is their own business, but at your peak, because you've been at the game now for a good, whatever, 30, 40 years, what was the top weekly salary ever?
My least wages was 40 and my most was 400.
Yeah.
400 quid.
Celtic.
3 World Cups. 400 quid was the
and
most.
Most of the Celtic boys were on 400 till Graham Souness came up and brought all the English players, and then all the wages went up accordingly.
Wow.
And to be fair, Ruffy, do you feel happy getting your bonus today? Have you contributed as much as you feel?
He said, no, you've got to produce.
If you can remember the piano concerto in our time, I think you deserve your bonus. Who is it? Who have we got to go and see?
Rachmaninoff.
Yeah.
Hey, talking to a classical radio man here.
Absolutely, and it's probably one of the reasons why none of us hang about with him out with the studio. Anyway, great to see Ruffy talking about Rachmaninoff on the programme. At this point, each and every one of us, Tam, Ruffy, absolutely brilliant chat. Hopefully you'll hit the subscribe button. You can hit the bell, you'll get all the notifications. Download the PLZ.
Vladimir Putin's tuned in, don't you touch any buttons. Alright, just leave that alone. Have a cup of Horlicks, calm down. Watch an old episode of Only Fools and Horses. Just relax.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you right now, you download the app as well, you'll get the show live, and all I would say is I think all of us are united and our thoughts are with the people of Ukraine on the football show. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Join the football family. We're on Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.